flowers to their wife, you know they messed up. And so one of the things I want to encourage is to think about our wives on days that are not special days. To just think of them on maybe a Saturday morning. Hey, honey, let's go out to breakfast together. Or while you're out, pick her up a rose, not because y'all fighting, not because she mad at you, not because she upset with you, not because you made her mad. Now you're gonna try to make up to her by buying her something, giving her a flower, buying her a ring. That's not the time. You know, I talk about building your faith before storms, before trials, before tests, before you go through the difficulties of life. Strengthen your faith before. Well, I'm going to say strengthen your marriage before you run into a problem, before difficulties come. Have a strong marriage so when the storms of life come on that marriage, you can weather the storm because you built up a good relationship before the trial, before the test. So it'll easily blow over. You can just reach over and say, sweetie, I'm so sorry. And she'll just say, that's all right, babe.
That is so true. I didn't know that was how people felt. And one day, you had sent some flowers to me, just because there was nothing wrong, just because. And so one of the ladies on the job says, "Ooh, you and your husband were fighting last night." I went, "No." And that was their thought, is that the only reason why you get flowers on the job is because there was a fight. So when I got home back, I told my husband, don't you ever send me any flowers to my job ever again. I did, because I don't want that thought. That's a terrible way to think. You should be able to get flowers just because. But so what he did was he got me one silk flower, and I keep it at my desk. And I've had it for years. Yes. So that flower is a remembrance of the fact that he loves me, and you don't have to send me flowers that's gonna die in a week anyway. So I'm okay with that one flower, okay? That's awesome. And it means a lot to me. So here we are, moving again to the next one.
What number are we on?
We are on number 5.
Okay, great.
Being jealous and insecure. Ladies, what happened? What made us jealous? What did he do to put you in that position? Or what was your history prior to that made you jealous, that when you got into this relationship, you didn't let go of that baggage? Ooh. So you're always thinking that your husband is cheating on you. You're always thinking that something is wrong. You're calling him all day long. Where are you, honey? When you coming home? Hang up. 10 minutes later, where are you, honey? When you coming home? You said you were going to be home 10 minutes ago, and you still haven't gotten home. What are you doing? Who are you talking to? You hear people talking in the background. Who is that you talking to? I hear that woman in the background. All this drama going on. But what happened that we have to take a look at ourselves, search our hearts, and find out what put us in a position to be jealous of our husbands that will drive him out of the house and into the arms of someone that he would have never gone into if you hadn't continued to nag.
Wow, that is so great. Wow, that's a lot of food for thought there.
Yeah.
That is a lot of food for thought. I want to just encourage us men that we as men, we have to make sure that we are loving our wives at all times and that they're secure. Because why are they insecure? Because number one, keep in mind, women married, the number one reason is for for security. Men, number one reason is for companionship, but that's not why the wife number one reason is companionship. She marries for security. Yeah. So the moment she's threatened, the moment she's insecure, you got a problem.
That's right.
I mean, the moment she feels threatened, and you got to see the warning signs, and you got to deal with that. You cannot just allow her to continue to be insecure and wondering where you're at, looking at your phone, and seeing who you're talking to and following you, stalking you to see what you're doing after work, to see if you're really out with the boys. You know, that's a problem.
Yeah,
That's a problem. So you have to make sure that that wife of yours, who I know you love, you want to make sure that she's secure, that she's not worried about where you're at and what you're doing, that she knows she can trust you. Because once that trust issue is broken, you got some serious problems.
That's true.
Once that trust issue, she can't trust you, then she's always going to be serious.
This is
What a live studio
awesome.
audience we have today. We're so excited to be here today on Journey to Greatness broadcast with Dr. Randall and Berdella Hall Walker,
Yes.
my awesome, extraordinary wife. It's a joy to have her on the set. Listen, she almost didn't make it today, but God made a way. So give my darling, darling baby.
I'm here.
My sweet and sexy lady. I just lose it. I mean, I'm on Christian television. We should be singing some songs like Amazing Grace, how sweet. Okay, all right. Well, okay, yes. Wonderful. Well, listen, I'm Dr. Randall Hall Walker, my wonderful, awesome, extraordinary wife, Berdella Hall Walker. I got some great news for you. We are going to celebrate next week. We're going to celebrate 32 years of marriage.
Wow. Oh, God.
All right. Well, we're so excited about what God has done in our life. And so we're going to share with you some powerful truths to help you have workability so your life can show up the way it's supposed to, because so often individuals never move into their greatness. They never become extraordinary. They never fulfill their God-given purpose and their God-given assignment. And I'm so excited that we are in our zone. I mean, we are moving into our greatness. Great things are happening. We just got back from Florida for a book signing. We're headed to Chicago for another book signing. And it's great to have a life of workability. And
That's
I'm
right.
so excited.
That's good.
And listen, I want to
That's
share
good.
with you. I want to share with my viewers today. But before I do that, I want to give a shout out to my good friends out there in California. Hey, y'all, greet California. Hey. going to be heading out that way. Probably next year. It's going to take us a little while because you guys are so far out there. We got to go to Chicago first. You guys are way out there. But we want to give a shout out to you. Also, we want to give a shout out to Chicago, Chi-Town. Hey! Oh, man, that's one of my favorite cities. I tell you what, when I first got there, I was a little intimidated by that. I thought Al Capone was around the corner. I'm telling you. But I tell you what, I grew to love Chicago. As a matter of fact, that's where I met this. Oh, no, I'm not going to do it. Bradella Hall Walker. I met my awesome wife in Chicago. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Detroit, Michigan, where I was born and raised there in Detroit, Michigan.
Hello.
Motown. Oh, my goodness. Motown, just an extraordinary city. I grew up in that city. That was an awesome time growing up. What a powerful time. I want to give a shout out to my 2 sons there. I got a son there named Randall. I got a son, named after me. It's another Randall, y'all. Okay. And Donnie, my other son, and then Ebony, she's there as well. So wonderful. And I tell you, I got to say, hi, Mommy. Oh, I got to say hello to my wonderful mom, Annie Walker, who's an awesome, extraordinary lady. And so we're just so excited. And we have family in Florida.
Yes.
We have some wonderful grandkids, and I'm going to let my darling, I'm going to let my wife, Bradella Hall Walker, introduce them. But I want to say hello to my grandkids. Mwah, I love you.
Yes.
Give them a big hand.
Yeah. Hello, Florida. Our son, David, his wife, Nikiba, and our 3 beautiful grandchildren, Brianna, Alyssa, and Nia. Hello. God bless you all.
That's great. Well, listen, what I want to talk to you about today, because as I alluded to earlier, the graveyard is full of folk who never fulfilled their God-given purpose, their assignment. They lost the vision. They got hoodwinked, bamboozled, and tricked, and they ended up in defeat. But I'm going to share with you some great tools today to help your life have workability. A pastor called me today, very successful pastor, just totally in defeat. And I'm just amazed at how so many people can get discouraged and get down. Even men of God, full of faith and power, get discouraged. I had one, he was on Facebook. I couldn't believe it. He was crying like a baby in defeat. And I inboxed him, and I said, bro, you know better. God has given us tools and given us authority as men of God.
Right, yes.
How dare we allow the enemy to ever get us down?
Right.
God is called. We're visionaries.
That's right.
And you know, being a visionary is very important. And you who are watching by way of television, I want to empower your life today to become a visionary. Because being a visionary is so powerful. A visionary is one who knows what it should be, what it could be, and what it will be, regardless the way it is.
That's right.
They are one who is determined to change things. They're not one who watch things happen and wonder what happened. They are people who make things happen. They are shakers and movers. And I want to encourage everyone to be a shaker and a mover. Do not let the enemy discourage you. Do not let the enemy talk you out of your vision, your dream. Become a visionary. See what it's supposed to look like. See what is supposed to happen, and be determined to fuel your vision. And don't let anybody and nobody, and especially not the devil, talk you out of it.
That's right.
Because being a visionary is so important.
That's right.
You will never succeed if you don't fuel your vision. You have to fuel that vision. You have to be determined. You got to be like that Energized Bunny. You got to keep going. Right. You might take a licking, but you're going to keep on ticking. You might get knocked down, but you're going to get yourself back up, and you're going to get back in the race, and you're going forward for what is possible. So I'm excited to come to you today and encourage you as I share with you about how important it is to have a vision and a mental picture of the future. That's what a vision is. It's a mental picture of the future. Right. You see it. You've already seen what your future looks like. You know, the Word of God is clear that you can frame your world within a world, but you got to get a vision for what's possible. You got to see the end, and then you got to start at the beginning. But you got to see it clearly.
Right.
And then you got to write it down and make it plain.
That's
Publish
right.
it.
That's
and
right.
you got to brag about what you're going to accomplish. You got to boast about what you're going to accomplish for God. I'm doing this for God, and no demon, no devil gonna stop me.
That's
I'm
good.
gonna succeed
That's
no
good.
matter what.
That's good.
And I'm not stopping.
good.
I'm gonna succeed, and I'm gonna fulfill my God-given purpose, and I'm gonna make sure that I leave my legacy on the earth. I am not gonna die in defeat. I'm not gonna die never having fulfilled my God-given purpose, and not my dreams and my aspirations, not me. And I want to encourage you who are watching by way of television. I want you tonight, I want you to get a hold wherever you're at watching this program. I want you to get right now with you and God. And I want you to get a vision for what's possible and know what the difference that you're out to make and what you're out to accomplish. And find out your assignment. Find out your purpose. Because listen, so many people never understand their purpose. They don't even know why they're here on earth. They just exist. And if you don't know your purpose in life, somebody will give you theirs. And you'll go through life doing somebody else's purpose, somebody else's dream, and you'll be most miserable.
That's right.
And you'll be so unhappy. That's why we tend, when we're unhappy, you know how we eat all the time, we're unhappy. Next thing you know, you done got huge and you can't even move. You done got so big because you're unhappy. You know, when we're unhappy, you know how it is, and late at night, you eat, because we're miserable.
Yeah.
That's why you got to have a goal. That's why you got to have a purpose. That's why you got to live life on purpose, live life intentional, and know what you're up to accomplish, and see what it looks like, and be determined to reach your goal for the glory of God. Bradella?
That's great. That is wonderful. And so I was thinking about what you were saying. Visionaries are futuristic, which means that they know their present state. They don't think about their present state. They think of their future. They think of where they're going. And that's a wonderful place to be, because visionaries live in a place of expectation.
Wow, that's
They're
good.
constantly seeing what can be. What they do, why they do it, and what's going to make them happy doing it. And that's what visionaries are.
That's right.
And I enjoy the fact that I'm a visionary, because
Yes,
I'm
you are.
always, you can take me into an open field and I'll see homes, I'll see parks, I'll see a mall, and other people will go out to the open field and they'll just see an open field.
Yes.
So you have to be a visionary to the point of seeing what's in the future and not in your present right now.
That's great. That's great. And here's the thing about a visionary that I love. They have a mental picture of what it looks like, and they have an imagination, and they begin to see through their imagination, and they get in the game and start playing. They don't just sit on the sideline. They're not sitting on the sideline cheering somebody else. Go, go, go. They're not cheerleaders, you know. They're on the game. They're on the court. They're in the game of life. Visionaries are in the game of life, and they make life work for them. And they soak in life. They soak in the joy of life. Life for them is pleasant. They're not a doubter and a pouter and a do-it-outer. They're not always walking around complaining, talking about poor me. How's it going? Horrible. How's life treating you? Miserable. No. They have a vivid imagination, and they live in this world of imagination. This awesome, extraordinary, wonderful lady here is a visionary if I ever seen one. And she's a writer, an actor, a producer. She's multi-talented, but she lives in the game. She don't sit on the sideline and watch the game. You know, I'm not big on football, basketball, and sports. Because if I'm not playing, I don't want to be a part of it. If I'm not out there playing. Listen, and when I was a young kid, if I fell out with you, I'm taking my ball and going home.
Oh, wow.
I ain't going to play with you. Give me my ball. That's right. So if I'm not playing the game, I'm done. I'm not one to sit on the sidelines and cheer others. That's just not who I am. I'm just not that way. I believe that we should be in the game, playing the game, and playing to win.
That's good.
I believe it.
That's good.
Yeah, because winners never quit and quitters never win. Okay? If you quit, you're done.
Right.
But if you're determined to succeed and you're determined to fulfill your God-given purpose and your dreams and your aspirations, you don't quit. When you get knocked down, you say, it ain't no big deal. And I'm getting back up. I've learned what doesn't work. I thought it would work. I was hoping it would work. Looked like it would work. But it didn't work. but I'm going to find out what works. Right. And that's a visionary. That's one who is determined to their dreams to come to fruition. So the Word of God says that without a vision, people perish. Right. Which implies, that here, get this is simple. Without revelation, it's in revelation that things are revealed to you. It's in the realm of the unseen revelation that life fuels you of what you cannot see. You know, what you can see is going to discourage you half the time anyway. What you see in the natural, it's the things that you cannot see. And a visionary is one that doesn't focus on what the natural. They're not people that walk around seeing people in defeat and get, oh, boy, that's so sad. That's so sad. You know, they're ones that, hey, listen, we're going to build a center for them, get these homeless people, and we're going to get them in a place where their lives can have workability. That's what we're going to do. That's who they are, and that's the difference. That visionary, they're creative. They're very creative, and because they understand the creative power of God. Listen, God took nothing and created everything.
Yes, he did.
Nothing is not a bad place to be. You know,
that's right.
So many people hit rock bottom, they lose it. Listen, I believe there's a gentleman right now. You're sitting on the couch, you've lost everything. I'm here to tell you today, that's a good place where you're at now. Even though you're feeling like giving up on life, nothing's a good place to be, because it's in nothing that you can create everything. The world was void, it was nothing. And in nothing, God created everything. So it's not a bad place to be. It's just where you start. That's not where you're going to end. So quit pouting, get up off that couch and move forward and soar high, because God has something great for you, I believe it. Cordella?
That's wonderful. Thinking about that man or a woman or anyone that's in a place where they feel like they've lost everything, you have to get to a place where were you before you got to where you are? If you can imagine, I was doing something before this, and now I'm feeling defeated. Get back to that place. Begin to use your imagination and allow yourself to be creative. Visionaries are very proactive.
Yes. In
that they are always thinking of doing something. They're always using their imagination. They're always thinking of where they're going to go next. And I think of visionaries as artists who use a canvas, and the canvas is blank. And then they begin to draw on it and use their paints and their oils. It doesn't look right, they'll wipe it off, and they'll start all over again. That's a proactive person, a person who says, I'm going to get it right. I know where I'm going, I know what I want to do, and my imagination is going to be so great, but I'm going to channel it in that direction and that direction only. Those are proactive visionaries. Yes. They keep life going.
They keep life going. Yes, that's right. That's right. And listen, they're not hindered by limitations and restraints and boundaries. They don't let things stop them. They don't judge their life by what's in front of them that's stopping them. Visionaries see beyond that. They see beyond the problem, beyond the circumstance. You know, so often individuals hit snare in their life, and life's over. They just done. They start throwing in the towel, giving up, crying. I can't make it. I'm done. Ah! You know, and just losing. They just totally lose it. But not a visionary. A visionary sees that the obstacles in front of them, the limitations and the restraints and the boundaries, they see beyond that. They see beyond. You know, I think one of the greatest visionaries was the Lord Jesus Christ. And let me tell you why. Because the scripture says, for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. So here's a man that's going through the agony and the pain on his way to be crucified. After they done beat him and ripped his flesh all off of his bones, he could say, forgive them, for they know not what they do, because he could see beyond that. Yes. And he saw himself seated with his heavenly Father in heaven. He saw himself resting, completing his work, fulfilling his assignment, and could look at the devil and say, nah, 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 nah. That's right. So it's the joy that was set before him, he endured. So we should have the joy set before us that we can endure. The vision is in front of us. And whatever we face, it's the vision that fuels us. So when there's obstacles, difficulties, and trials, and tests, and problems, and sorrow, and adversity, and difficulties, we see beyond that. We see beyond what's possible in there, and we know it's there to push us into our greatness. Reminds me of the children of Israel as they were leaving, going to the promised land, and they had kind of gotten a little complacent there in the wilderness, and Pharaoh's army had to come and drive them to move forward. Yeah, had to push them into their greatness. And that's what God will do when there's opposition. He's pushing you to your greatness. He was trying to get them to the promised land. He said, Pharaoh, run them up to the promised land. He was flowing milk and honey. Run them there. And they see, they panicking and everything. But he was pushing them. And that's what God will do for you. So when you're facing some difficulties, when you're facing some tests, some trials, don't see it. Perspective is everything. Perspective, how you view things, how you interpret it. You got to interpret things in the best interest of seeing what God is up to and the difference he's trying to do in your life. And when you see that, it'll cause you to rise up as an overcomer, and you'll be strong and mighty and courageous. And then you can tell others, hey, you know what? You're going to succeed. I was able to do it. It's a storm in your life. Yes, you're going to hit storms. We're either in a storm, just left a storm, or on our way to a storm. You're going to hit a storm in life. No question about it. No ifs, ands, or buts. You will have storms. But the great thing about it is God will be with you in that storm, and you can weather that storm, and you can prepare yourself to go through the storm. Why? Because you built your faith up and your vision before the storm. You know where you're at. You positioned yourself. You got yourself ready. Hey, I know that I'm going to face opposition. We're prepared for it. You're prepared for the storm. You know, you got to get prepared for a storm.
That's right.
Yeah. You know, and I know that firsthand being in Florida. But when the hurricanes was coming, I tell you what, it was so funny, guys. I got to tell you all that. It's so funny. I mean, Walmart, everything is sold out. I mean, the bread and everything, milk, everything. I mean, as soon as they announce a hurricane, you try to go to the store. You can't find no bread, no milk, no nothing. And the lumber stores, or like Lowe's and Home Depot, they run out of lumber.
That's right.
Because everybody want to board up their house. They want to buy they prepare themselves for the storm. That's a good thing. You know, and then the storm cease and go someplace else, and they spend all that money for nothing. But anyway, they didn't take a chance, and I don't blame them. As a matter of fact, I didn't take a chance. Whenever a hurricane was on its way to Florida, I took off. I was in Atlanta. I tell you, I love Atlanta. I tell you what, I'll be in Atlanta. I didn't take no chances. But you have to prepare yourself for the storm. Listen, you that watching by way of television, prepare yourself for your storm, because you will have trials, you will have tests. But it's how you view them, and your interpretation of that storm and that situation is key. That's the most important thing to know. Strengthen yourself before you face it. Build your confidence up. And when you're going through that storm, just say, this too shall pass.
That's right. You know? That's wonderful. That's what we really have only 2 minutes left, but I want to say as we're getting ready to close that one of the greatest restraints that we have is doubt. Doubting ourselves, believing we can't do it. We started out with this beautiful thought, the beautiful vision, the beautiful imagination, and then somehow a seed of doubt came in and just blocked you. So that's your greatest restraint, is you.
Wow.
It's not always someone else, because anybody can tell you that you can't do it. It isn't a matter what they told you, it's whether you believe what they said. So you have to believe in you, you have to believe in where you're going, you have to believe in what you're doing with your own life and be happy with it and put no boundaries.
That's right.
The sky is the limit.
That's right.
In everything that you desire to do. Live out your vision, live out your dreams, live out your imagination. And if the canvas doesn't seem to be right, wipe it down and start all over again.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many times you fall. That's not what makes you successful, is getting up. That's what makes you successul. We're almost out of time.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, listen, we're almost out of time. I want to thank our studio audience for, thank you so much, studio audience. That's awesome. I want to thank you. I want to thank those who are watching by way of television. If this is the first time that you have joined with us. I want to say to you, go to our website, FWC Charlotte, and enjoy our website. And also, if you could be so kind to email us at journeytogreatnessbroadcastbc@gmail.com. So thank you for joining us today. I'm Dr. Randall Hall Walker, my lovely co-host, Bella Hall Walker. And we wish God's very best to you. That they're in a toxic relationship. They don't even realize it. The toxic relationship has just gotten the best of them, and they're just going through the motions, and life is miserable. So I'm going to share with you, we're going to talk about how to distinguish and know when you're in a toxic relationship.
That's good.
Yes.
That's
And
good.
one of the things that you can know about a toxic relationship is they constantly warring against you. This wartime. I mean, they wake up in the morning, warring with you. You go to their job, they warring with you. You come to church, and they're warring with you. You have a toxic relationship when a person is constantly warring with you. I mean, for no reason whatsoever, you have no clue. Just all of a sudden, you find yourself fighting with them. And you're like, what's up with this? What's this all about?
Right.
Out of the clear blue sky, they war with you. That's a toxic relationship. And let me tell you something, it's not healthy. Anything toxic is poison, and it will kill you. It'll kill your spirituality.
Yes.
It will hinder you from moving into your greatness and becoming extraordinary and becoming the amazing human being that God called you.
Right.
And it's difficult if you're trying to live life powerfully.
Right.
You're trying to live life on purpose, intentional, and you got a toxic relationship that's working against you. Because it's like being in a room and you're just being smothered by gas that fumes that just toxic, and it's just killing you. And it's destroying your life. And anytime you have a toxic relationship, you got to bring that to a closure.
You have to.
You have to deal with that toxic relationship. And you know what the sad thing about it is, and we all been there in a toxic relationship, we think it's going to get better.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we think it's going to get, it won't get better by itself. You have to make some necessary changes, because if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting.
That's
So
true.
you got to make sure that you do something different to turn that toxic relationship
That's
around,
right.
because
That's
it will
good.
destroy you if you don't destroy it.
That's right. That's good.
Bradella?
That's true. That's true. What I learned about toxic relationships and warring with people, you say, how did it start? they could be controlling. You could say, we're going to go out to dinner. It doesn't have to be a husband and wife. It could be friends. And you go out to dinner, you're ready to order, you want a hamburger, and they want you to order this, and you're saying, no, but I don't want that. And then they get angry with you because you didn't get it. Then you go home or you're riding in the car, and they're still fighting with you over a hamburger. But they war with you because there's something going on inside of them. Yeah. They're angry with their own life, and something has happened. Something has struck them as a child. And so what they couldn't get or what they couldn't do or how they couldn't act or whatever, then now they're bringing it out. It's an outlet now against everyone who comes in their life in a relationship.
Yes.
And it's just not good.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's not good.
So how do we overcome a toxic relationship? Because our viewers, my darling baby said run. But say if you're married in that situation and you just can't pick up and leave. You can't run because you're married, but yet it's a toxic relationship. What you have to learn as in a toxic relationship, you got to teach that person by example. In other words, when they're toxic, let it not bother you. Don't let them get the satisfaction of knowing that it's affecting you. That's the best way to handle it. Because if it's not going to affect them, they're going to eventually quit because it's not working. So they're not going to continue if it's not working. So once you get to a place where you can handle it yourself, because keep in mind, a toxic relationship, God is using that person to grow you now. Now don't forget that. All right, I better say that again. In a toxic relationship, God is using that person to grow you because they will reveal the real you. But the real you has to be strong enough and powerful enough to not to be affected by the outside. Because keep in mind that you have a space inside of you that you can guard and you can protect, and you can keep people from entering and invading that space. That space you can guard. You can put an alarm system on, put some locks on it. Put a fireproof electric fence or something around it, where if they get close to it, they're gonna get shocked or something. You know, you have to guard that space. You cannot let them invade your space. And once they find out they can't, then they'll settle down. Yeah. But as long as they can push your button and get you to a place where you've been out of shape, then the enemy is using them. We understand that. I mean, because the word of God is clear that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Right. Yeah. I mean, contrary to what you might think, your wife is not your enemy. I want you to know that. You're thinking, man, she's not your enemy, nor is your husband and your boss. None of those are your enemy. You think that they are. You think that your children may be your enemy. You think various people are your enemy. No, they're not your enemy. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. It's demons and devils that are targeting you to discourage you, to keep you from moving into your greatness, to keep you from being an extraordinary, powerful, mighty human being. So you got to take charge over the things that's trying to take charge over you. You got to take authority over the things that's trying to take authority over you. And don't give any place or opportunity for them to discourage you. The joy of God is your strength. You got to keep your joy. You got to stay happy. You got to stay excited, ignited, enthused, and infused. Because if the enemy can take your joy, he can take your goods. So you don't let him take your joy. Smile your way, praise your way through, be excited your way through. You just keep going through. Don't let them get to you, because toxic relationships is out to destroy you. And you're constantly warring with them. And so, you know, another thing that I know that they'll do is they're condescending. Right. You know, in a relationship that is toxic, they're condescending. Right. What they do is they're putting you down. You know, they're coming against you. You can't do nothing right. Yeah. I mean, you everything you do is wrong. Everything you say is wrong. You know, they just constantly coming against you. That's a toxic relationship. Yes. And in this season of your life, you don't need that. You need people who will encourage you. You need people that's going to be speaking to your life and tell you that you can succeed, that you can make a difference, that you can achieve, and you can soar high. That's the kind of people you need in your life to compliment you.
That's right.
To make you feel good about you, not to tear you down, not to come against you. But that's what a toxic relationship will do. It's a condescending relationship.
It is.
You know, it's constant put down, put down, put down, put down, put down. And it will drive you crazy if you let it.
Right. Right.
So you can't let it. There you got to guard yourself. You got to protect yourself, and you got to make sure that you have a good self-esteem, good self-confidence, and good values in yourself, because it comes to devalue you. The condescending is to devalue you, to make you feel less than, to make you feel like you're inadequate, to make you feel like you can't accomplish, to make you feel like you're a failure. That's what condescending does. It pushes you down. And so therefore you have to know God in a way that God builds you up, and you know who you are and whose you are, and you're strong and you're mighty, and you know inside of you is a person who is great and mighty, and you're not going to allow anyone to put toxic poison into your life. You refuse to let them have your life. Adela?
That's good. That's good. You know, unfortunately, that's not discovered before they get together.
That's right.
Unfortunately, the toxic person hides that until they're comfortable, and then that's when that monster comes out.
Right.
You get together in a relationship, whether it's just platonic friends or whether it's man and woman, husband and wife, and you're going along dating, doing all that, having the fun, going out to dinner. And, you know, I really believe when I hear a person say they've changed, really they haven't changed. What they did was they just hid it until such a time they became comfortable with you. And then when they get comfortable, then they say, now I've watched all their moves. Now I know what they do and what they don't do.
Snake in the grass.
I don't like the way they sit. I don't like the way they breathe. Uncross your legs. You don't eat right. You don't. And you see a lot of that going on. And then when people get into a place where they decide, I can't live with them anymore, now you've got other things going on. You don't know whether you should leave. You don't know if if it's going to be a dangerous parting, if they're going to kill you. You don't know if they're going to fight. You have no idea what's going to happen, but it went so far until now there's fear, there's all kinds of things that are going on in your mind and in their mind, and as long as they know they can control you, they've got you. It's hard. See, they break you down when you don't even know you're being broken down. Because what's going on inside of you, you're saying, I know me, I know who I am, and that's one of the things you have to remember is stay strong in yourself. But again, they so sneaky. I don't care if it's the male, I don't care if it's the female, whoever it is, they're so sneaky that they have already set it up, and they know when to jump in and catch you at your worst. They know when to catch you when you're vulnerable. They know when to catch you when you're going through something, and the next thing you know, you're second guessing, oh, maybe I don't look good.
Right.
Maybe I can't do this, and maybe I am dumb. And then you begin to fight back, because you start saying things like, he may say, let's use him for example. He may say, you're just dumb. And she's got this bubble thought over here saying, yeah, I am. I was dumb marrying you. Or she's the toxic one saying, you're just so lazy. Why don't you go out and get a job or something? And he's got his bubble thought over here saying, well, you know, I didn't have one before we got married. Why you think I should have one now? So you get all these variables of personalities and characters coming out. And it's really sad and dangerous, really, because you don't know what direction it's going to go.
Right.
But you know that it's not heading in the right direction. So again, as I said initially, unfortunately, you don't see it before you get in it. But if we pray and ask the Lord to show us what's going on, when you begin, the red flags are always coming up. You just ignore them because you just put those blinders on. I'm so in love. They'll change.
Yeah.
I know it's going to get better. Oh, he hit me, but it was my fault because
Right.
I said this out of line. Before you know it, oh my goodness, you have the worst thing going on. Don't ever, when you see a red flag, the first one that you see, that's when you start dealing with it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, the communication is very important. In a relationship, when it's toxic, believe it or not, you have to develop a type of communication. When that person is trying to control you, you have to tell them boldly that, hey, listen, I'm an individual, and you have to respect me, and you have to honor me because of who I am. You have to let them know where you stand. Now, you don't want to be threatening because people have a problem when they're threatened. You don't ever want to threaten anyone because when you threaten them, automatically it's gonna go sour.
Right.
You know, if you give a person, I found this out, if you give a person an ultimatum, they're never gonna choose it in the best interest of you. Never.
Take it.
Never. They're never gonna choose in the best interest of you.
Yeah.
So therefore, the best way is to communicate with them and to make sure that the person understands you. You know, listen, you are watching by way of television. Let me speak to you really right now. It's very important that you communicate with that person and know that they communicate with you on what words mean to them. So you have to find out what you're discussing with them, what the words mean to them, because it can mean something totally different to them and you, because in the English dictionary, as we all know, you can talk to one another, and next thing you know, both of you confused because words mean so much, so many different things. Like, for instance, in the creation of time, the word cleave means to glue. Okay, when the Word of God says a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave, and they shall be one flesh. Well, that means glue, like super glue, like God did for our marriage. He glued us together with super glue. But today, cleave means to separate. Go get me a cleaver. I'll use the cleaver. Yeah. So it means to separate today, where it changed this whole dynamics of its meaning.
Right.
So you have to, in communication with people, you have to communicate with them on their educational level. Because if you're trying to communicate with them and you got a PhD, yeah, well, all of us know that. You know, you got to come down in terms where they can understand and communicate. You can't, be talking those words that they don't understand. So you got to know what words mean to them. I remember when I grew up in Detroit and I was a little bad boy back in the day, and my wife never had that type of issues in the streets and anything like that whatsoever. She was goody two shoe and she one of them perfect ladies, that carry themselves very well, and so. But I was kind of, rough on the edges so I talked a little bit, a little slang and a little street. I was still, even though I was saved, I was still talking a little street talk, right?
Yeah.
So I came in one day to her and said, "Hey, honey, look at my shoes. Ain't they bad?" She said, "What's wrong with them?" I was like, oh, so I use that illustration to get you to see you got to find out what words mean to the person you're trying to communicate. Because if you don't talk on their language, you'll never be able to reach them where they're at. You got to be able, whatever that individual with the toxic relationship, you got to find words that mean, you can't just tell them what you're doing is wrong and you're going to go to hell. They don't want to hear that. Okay, they're not going to listen to that. But you got to talk in terms that say something along the lines of, you are dishonoring me. You know what honor means, don't you? Sure, I know what honor. Well, you dishonor me. Tell me what honor means. Well, honor means where you respect somebody. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You have to talk to them in terms, and it sounds elementary, but yet it's effective because you're talking on their language and the words mean the same thing to you as it do to them.
That's good. That's good.
Fidela?
That's good. You have to also ask questions. Think about it this way. You're culturally different. It doesn't matter whether you're of the black race, the white race, the Spanish race, the whatever race, the Indian race. You're culturally different. Because if I was raised in Chicago, my husband's raised in Detroit, we're raised so different. I didn't know him growing up. In order for me to be culturally the same, I would have to live across the street from him and get to know him, and we play and we do whatever. But I was born 4 hours away and never knew each other till we got older. And so the way I was raised is not the way he was raised.
That's right.
And so you study one another, you watch one another.
Right,
I find it so admiring to watch people and study them to see what they're all about. Now to admire them and to watch them doesn't always be pleasant, because it's like, I'm confused with some of this. So now you've got to go and figure out, maybe go into the restroom or the bathroom and say, Lord, how are we going to get through this one now? I don't understand this one. I think one of the things is men leaving the toilet seat up. Why you have to leave the toilet seat up? That's and then you got it down. He want to know why you got the toilet seat down. That is a big issue in the house, especially if you only have one bathroom.
Oh, what about this one? The toothpaste. Do you empty the toothpaste from the top or the bottom?
Do you squeeze it in the middle and roll it? Or which way does the toilet paper go on the roll? Are you serious?
Does it go on the top, or does it go?
Does it roll from the out, or does it roll from the bottom? Oh my goodness! You see, when a man put on his pants, does he put his socks on first, or does he put his pants on first? You're like, there's so many different things that are out there, and if you don't know how to handle it, those little petty things of how the toilet tissue should go on the roll can end up in divorce.
And not only that, in the workforce, when people having relationships out there in the workforce, not getting along with their perspective of the way they view things and the way they were raised, because you communicate based on your education, your culture, how you was raised, and what words mean to you. That's the way you communicate, and your belief. That's culture. Culture is your belief. And so you can automatically get in toxic relationships with people because your belief system is different on your job. They believe in doing it this way, and you're the boss, and you're trying to tell them to do it that way. And then you're arrogant and cocky, say you either do it my way or the highway, and that kind of thing. And so now you got a problem. So the point I'm trying to make is that communication, mutual respect with one another is vitally key. If you got a toxic relationship, you have to build mutual respect with one another so that you all are communicating and able to work out your differences. But when you don't have regards for their feelings, and that's one of the biggest problems that we see in toxic relations, no regards for the other person's feelings. Insensitive. That's a toxic relationship where you tell them, well, you hurt my feelings. So,
I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah. Hey, take it or leave it, baby.
Get over it.
Yeah.
Those
Grow
are
up.
terms that you hear.
These are no regards for the person's feelings, and you have to have regards for for mankind. They're feeling what they're going. That's called sensitivity, as my wife alluded to. You have to be sensitive to others. You cannot be dogmatic. You can't be arrogant, self-absorbed. You can't have a relationship where it's either my way or the highway. It's all about me, myself, and I. No, you got to have consideration for others. So one of the best ways to have a healthy relationship is to respect one another, honor one another, listen to one another. Listen to what your person is telling you. If they got an issue with you, sit down and, for God's sake, let them finish talking.
That is someone who thinks they know it all. They got all the answers for you, for them, for the whole world. They're narcissistic. It's all about them. Nothing works unless they're the one that's in control. Nothing works unless they're leading the pack. Nothing works unless they have the say-so and they're on the soapbox. Those relationships, again, as I said, unfortunately, we've all been involved, whether it's platonic or whether it's a marriage. We've all been involved with somebody or know someone who has been in that type of a relationship where it literally almost destroy you. I know literally almost don't go together, but it literally almost destroy you. And you're like, how do I get out of this? How do I fix me? And that's what you need to look at. If when you see it that way, don't try to fix the relationship. I know I'm contradicting right now, because what I'm saying is this, that if it has gotten to a place where it's so volatile that you know someone's going to get hurt, don't try to fix it. Fix you.
If there's fighting involved and physical abuse, you need help outside of yourself. Trust me. You cannot deal with that relationship with yourself. You need help. And sometimes it's the authorities. Sometimes you got to get the police involved. And I hate to say that, but that's the fact, that you get them involved. Generally, if the police get involved in a domestic violence case, it gets better, generally, because most of the time it gets better. But a third party has to step in from outside. But here's the deal, what I found in disrespect and everything. When a person disrespects you in front of others, that's a toxic relationship when they don't have any respect for you in front of others. I mean, they talk to you like a dog in front of others, you know, and embarrass you. That's a toxic relationship if I ever seen one.
That's controlling.
Yes.
Condescending.
Yes.
Everything that it ought not to be.
Exactly. Exactly. And you have to work through those relationships. You have to work through, you know, I'm not saying that God can't step in and turn it around. I'm not saying that it's not going to work. But I'm saying you have to become proactive and take authority and begin to make some decisions in how to turn that around. It's not. It's not gonna fix itself.
That's right. That's right.
It's just not.
You know.
It's not gonna fix itself. You know, so often we think things have fixed themselves. If we just ignore them, if we just turn our head and not look at it, then it'll fix itself. No. As soon as you turn this way and turn back, it's still there. So you have to take action. And so in toxic relationships that you have and we run into, you know, one of the things you want to do is be at peace with all men. You don't want things to be where they get out of hand, there's physical abuse, and the next thing you know, you all are fighting. Next thing you know, you guys are at each other's throat. And that can be husband, wife, that can be son, a daughter, that can be co-workers, the co-workers. I'm talking about relationships, not just marriage, but any relationship with your boss or anyone. You got to build healthy relationships. Very, very important. It's very important.
That's good. That's good.
Rodella?
You know, it's so sad that the training always comes after the fact.
Right.
We don't go see the psychiatrist, the social worker, the help until after we get hurt.
Right.
We never go seek counseling, because when we're in the relationship, we don't think we need it.
Right.
When it begins, we don't think we need it. When we first get into a friendship, we don't think we need it. We see it going on, but we never think we need it until it's so bad that you're ready to walk away from everything.
That is good. We're going to pick up from here next week. But listen, it's been an exciting show. I want you to, we are being a blessing to you, if this ministry is being a blessing, we have a sponsor. It's called Good Life. Go to our website, and any donation that you send in, we're going to send you absolutely free a $200 VIP club card. Exclusive hotels and savings
worldwide.
That's good.
Absolutely free to you.
Wow.
So any donation, so go to our website. It's fwccharlotte.com. Make a gift, and any amount of gift, we're going to send you absolutely free $200 club card, one of our sponsors. We're so grateful.
That's good.
So listen, this has been a fantastic show. I got to give you the prayer line number right now. We only got about 1 minute left. So my lovely wife is going to give you the prayer line number to call in Monday through Friday Eastern time and join in with prayer. Give it to them quickly.
Okay, for the early risers, it is 218-936-0812. Code is 2254 pound.
Give it to them one more time.
218-936-0812.
936-0812.
Code is 2254 pound.
2254 pound.
Yes.
Well, this has been great. It's been
Yes, it has.
fantastic. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dr. Randall Hall Walker. This is my awesome wife, Fidela Hall Walker, and we are so excited and united, and we wish God's very best to you.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Journey to Greatness broadcast. I'm Dr. Randall Hall Walker, my wonderful co-host. And Bella Hall Walker is with me today. Oh, yes. Oh, this is awesome. This is extraordinary. What a joy it is to come to you by way of television and share with you our journey to greatness. I know you've been enjoying the past shows, and it's been extraordinary, just awesome. My wife, book signing, oh, was it a success for the glory of God. So we're so grateful that you have allowed us to come to your place of business, your workplace, and come to you by way of television and share with you our journey to greatness. This awesome, extraordinary, powerful, mighty woman. And I got to sing my song, you all. You're my darling, darling baby. My sweet and sexy lady. You know, I keep forgetting I'm on Christian television. But anyway, it is a joy to come to you and share with you and just pour our heart out and just talk with you and just kind of connect with you. So I want to say thank you. Don't touch that dial, because we have an awesome show prepared for you. It's going to be great. Today, we're going to talk about the strong-willed man. You remember a series ago, on a few series, we talked about the strong-willed woman and how that the strong-willed woman has to be loved. And she's strong-willed because that's her makeup, that's her character, that's who she is. And we have to embrace that and love and appreciate the strong-willed woman, because if we fight up against it, how many know that we're going to lose? Men, you know what I'm talking about. It's a no-win situation. The smartest thing to do with a strong-willed woman is to love her into submission. Oh, let me tell you guys, at work, I'm telling you, I've done it. I mastered it. I got the secret. And the secret is just love them. Just love them and show them how much you appreciate who they are. Don't tear down their character. Don't say, you know, you're just like your mother, my mother-in-law. You're just like Miss Granny Grit, or you know, you just mean. You know, don't say those things. Say, oh, I just love the way you are. Sing to them. Let them know you appreciate, and they'll melt. That strong-willed woman will turn into a little marshmallow, and you'll be eating a marshmallow. It'll be great. Listen, but we want to talk about the strong-willed man, because one of the things that we faced in getting married is that she was a strong-willed woman, and I was a strong-willed man. And I said this: you are not going to control me. You're not going to dominate me. So what I did was, I purposed to be a little strong, a little dogmatic, a little overbearing, a little controlling. And I want you to know, it literally almost destroyed my marriage. But because I got present to, I needed to fix me and not feel so insecure as a man and feel like I got to have her under control. That she's an individual, she has her own life, she can make decisions, and I found the secret to that. When she makes those decisions, she learned to make them for me as well. So I tell you, I made out like a bandit. I don't know about your situation, but I'm grateful. In the 31 years, 30-plus years, we have been married. We've been married over 30 years. And I want you to know it's been a journey to greatness. I'm the most happiest man in life today. And it's all because I learned some secrets in loving my wife, caring for my wife, showing appreciation, not on special days. You know how we always give them something on Valentine's Day. That's the biggie, you know, because everybody else is traditional to do it on Valentine's Day. You better, okay, I'm not saying stop on Valentine's Day, but what I'm saying is add a couple more days in there that you just show appreciation to your wife, especially as a strong-willed man, because a strong-willed man, sometimes we can intimidate them by being strong and being dogmatic or arrogant or haughty or whatever spirit we might manifest at the time. It's intimidating to that wife. So I want to encourage you to learn the power of submission. You know, the Word of God says, submit one to another. Now, I know we don't like that word. I understand that, because I hated it myself. But I've learned to appreciate submission, because I learned in submission, it gives me power with my wife. Boy, you talking about a man of power now. It's because I've learned that the key is to submit, because she know who I am. She know I'm strong. She know I'm bold, courageous. She understands that. But she'll honor the submission that I have towards her when I show her that I can submit to her because I love her. That's why I submit. I submit to her because I love her. She has been an awesome, extraordinary. God really blessed me, guys. I'm just telling you, and I'm talking to you men. I'm going to let my wife talk to you ladies, but women, you kind of plug up your ears. No, I'm just teasing. But I want to talk to you men for just a moment. Listen, so often we think being macho is being manly. You know, if you look at Jesus, he was the most humblest man that I ever read about and ever experienced. You know, Jesus was an awesome mentor for us. You need a mentor, Jesus would be your greatest mentor. You know, we look at mentors in the flesh, and I'm not saying we shouldn't have them, but the greatest mentor you can have, men, is to follow after Jesus.
Amen.
You know, the story is that the disciples were really concerned because they thought Jesus was going to come and overpower the government and take charge and rule and reign, take authority, and just come in on a horse, dun 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 dun, charge! Here we come! And he surprised them. He came in on a donkey. They're like, "What's up?" They were like, wow, surprised, because a donkey represents submission. A donkey represents humility. And when he came in on his triumphant entry, he came in humility. Why? To show us the power of submission.
That's right.
So, men, I want to encourage you, learn the power of submission, regardless of how strong you are. We need our wives, and we can't be dogmatic and walk over them and treat them like they're a mat or something. We have to push them up, exhort them, tell them how great they are, tell them how gorgeous they are, tell them how fantastic they are. Yes, begin to build them up. And you want to know something, a secret, I'm going to tell you. When you build them up, they build you up.
That's true.
I'm telling you what I know. I mastered this thing, guys. I'm letting you in on the secret. Yes, that's the key. So if you're having marital problems, one of the reasons why, I'm sure, is because so often we try to control our wives. I've been there. I repented. I said, God, forgive me for that. I had said my first relationship, I was a very humble person, and I felt like they walked on me. So I said, I'll never let anybody walk, not another woman walk on me. So I had this macho, manly image that I'm going to show you who I am. And so I was going to head it off. So if I even thought it was coming, I shut it down. And, well, I must say that caused for some serious problems, I must say. And my marriage wasn't working. And I'm like, hey, I'm a guy that know how to make things work. I'm a shaker and a mover. So my marriage should be working, but it's not. So I got to find some secrets. I got to find. So I began to seek the Lord, and the Lord instructed me to walk in humility. And so I learned the power of humility. Everything that exalts itself, the scripture says, is coming down. That's a fact.
That's right.
Pride goeth before a fall or destruction. But everything that humbles themselves, God will exalt. And I want you to know God has just exalted me with my wife as a result of me humbling myself and submitting myself to God first. I've learned a secret. My ministry is first to God. And as I minister to God, God in turn minister to me, and then I can minister to this darling. I can't get away from that song.
That's good.
I can't get away from it. It's awesome. But I'm giving you the secret, guys. Listen, lay down your weapons. Surrender. You know, it's like the fight's over. I surrender, you know, because you're not going to win. A happy wife is a happy life. You know, the divorce court is full of folks that wouldn't surrender. They wouldn't surrender. They said, I'm going to die before I surrender to a woman. I'd rather be dead. Well, you might be. So let me tell you, it's a secret. If God give them to you, you can show them submission. You can teach them by being an example. As you submit, they learn submission, and they learn how to submit because you're the role model. They learn through you, sir. They learn. Whatever you teach them, that's what they're going to learn. If you teach them how to argue, fuss, and fight, that's what they're going to learn. You teach them how to be disrespectful and arguing and fussing, and that's what they're going to learn, because you are their role model. Yes. So I want to encourage you to be a good role model. And as a matter of fact, before the end of this program, men, don't touch that down. I know you're saying, man, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. But listen, I'm helping you. I'm telling you. Take it from someone. I grew up in the city of Detroit. I thought I was God's gifted man. I thought I was tough. I thought I was bad. But I learned there's always somebody better than you. so why even go there?
That's true.
Amen. Where you might think you're tough, there's always someone tougher. You know, just like sometimes I feel like I'm the greatest preacher in the world. Well, there's always somebody greater, and there's always somebody less than me that preach. So I just learned to be content with who I am in my preaching, in my teaching as a person. I am who I am, and I'm proud to be who I am. And you know what I learned? God cannot anoint who I pretend to be or desire to be or hope to be or want to be. God can't anoint that, but God can anoint me. And today I'm proud that God has anointed me to come to you by way of television and share with you the power of humility. So I'm going to turn it over to my wonderful wife, because we're talking about the strong-willed man, and she can kind of tell you that I am a strong-willed man, no question about it. Stubborn? Oh, my goodness. But since I know that, and that's the key, when you know yourself, then you can deal with you. And I know I have to deal with me. So I know if I have to deal with me, you know everybody else does. But I learned to deal with me. I learned to retrain my thinking, refocus my emotions, to get on top of things, to be open, not to be so dogmatic, to be a rational person, to be a caring and an understanding person, and not be so rigid. And I learned that. And so God has fine-tuned me as a man, and I'm grateful to him, because without it, I wouldn't have this beautiful bride here.
Thank you. Thank you. That is a good word, and usually men are not as transparent as women can be. And just to hear my husband speak and be transparent about who he is, what he was, how he was, it shows you that there are issues that men carry. But what surprises me more than anything, and I constantly study in my mind, I, as a woman who births a child, a young man, a boy, a teenager who turns into an adult, can be raised and loved, and not all are, but just speaking from this point of view, loved in my arms and learning how to care. And then the next thing you know, he goes out, he gets into a relationship, and he begins to beat the woman. Now, I'm not talking about my son. I'm talking about women in general who birth men, because all of you were birthed by a woman.
That's right, absolutely.
So being that you're birthed by a woman, how is it that the man then turns into this, as women will call him, this beast, turns into this monster, turns into this person that you don't know anymore? You see them starting at a young age. I've seen them even at 18 and 19 years old with girlfriends and hitting on them. And so I'm dealing with, where did this come from? Where's the history of this young person? Where's the history of this male factor?
A lot of times I think it's a generational curse, because keep in mind, women back in the day were like less than, and they were treated cruel, and they wasn't respected. So I believe that that's a spirit that's been handed down and can be activated when men are frustrated or lose their job, or life not working, or they're running into a problem. Then they want to take it out on this poor, helpless woman. It's a shame, but I think it's a generational curse that has been handed down through the years of the way women were treated. Because if you look back in the day, how women were second class and women were not treated as equal. And of course, I grew up where women begin to fight for equal rights. I grew up in that, where I seen, because basically when I grew up, the mom stayed at home and the dad worked. And if you were one out there in the workplace, oh, how dare you be out there in the workplace? You know, you just committed the unpardonable sin. No, not really. But that's the way it was back in the day. Now, with society the way it is, and the finances and in the economy, it takes two working. So things have changed, and things change, because if it don't change, or if it didn't change, we still be riding horse and buggy.
Yeah.
But life changes, things change, and so we're living in a culture now and you're talking about how men are a certain way, but keep in mind, there's also a generational curse that causes individuals to become soft. And when I mean soft, I mean their manlyhood is in question. I believe a real man is strong. I think a real man provides. I think a real man takes responsibility for his actions. I think a real man does that. But today, men are not standing up. Young men, they don't have many role models to follow. And so they're learning on their own because they're growing up in single homes. And it's really sad because, you know, today's women, I feel real sorry for them because they don't have much to choose from when it comes to a real man. And they're, you know, in other words, they're there, but it's like, wow, it's only a few. So maybe perhaps that's the reason why they're turning to another woman. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But I do know what the problem is. And I think the problem is men have not stepped up and took on responsibility because it is hard. It's hard to be a man. I'll be honest with you. I'll shoot straight. Growing up for me wasn't easy. Taking on responsibility wasn't easy. Being accountable wasn't easy for me. Those are things I had to learn as a man because we tend to justify and rationalize everything, make excuses for why. You know, even Pastor Moses, when he got called of God, he thought of 5 reasons why he couldn't do it. I mean, we automatically, our mind can conjure up so quickly excuses. And taking on responsibility says who you are as a man. And so I want us to deal, as my wife is doing such an excellent job with talking, I'm going to turn it back over to her, but I wanted to interject there and just bring out how difficult it is sometimes for men to take on responsibility, to be reliable, dependable, and honor their word. You know, we're living in a society now is get over on everybody. You know, how you can get over, lie and connive and cheat and steal, you know, but you're going to pay for it one way or the other. You're not going to get away. Had a situation here in the great city of Charlotte, pastor friend of mine, unfortunately, things went sour for him and he ended up losing his life. Won't go into the story, but it's really sad because you can get tricked, hoodwinked, bamboozled, and deceived by the voices in your head, a satanic attack or satanic influence or whatever that might be, where the enemy's talking to your mind with suggested thoughts. I want to encourage you to cast down those thoughts. I want to encourage you to retrain your thinking, refocus your emotions, set your affections on the things of God. Build a relationship with your mentor, who should be the Lord Jesus Christ. And I remember when you said this concerning the young lady, you said, I said, well, that's the choice they want to make. You said, no, they're too young to make that choice.
Right.
And I thought about that. That is so powerful. And so often we don't realize that kids are just too young to make decisions that we allow them to make. We have to make decisions for them until they have proven themselves, till they've proven that they can make a good decision. Because one bad decision can cause the family a lifetime of misery. So you want to make sure that that child makes the decisions that's based on the influence of you, not their own self or who they are. You know, it's not based on them finding themselves. You find themselves with them and give them the instructions of this the way it's going to be and this is the way it's supposed to be. And if you detour from that, you're going to find yourself in trouble. And that's what they have to do with, you have to do with your child. You cannot And I'm sick and tired of seeing parents just let kids raise themselves. Kids are not to raise themselves. That's why babies are having babies, because we're allowing them to raise themselves. We cannot raise. We have to set the structure. We have a safe environment for them to grow and to develop and live in a safe environment so that they can grow up and make well-informed decisions. Right.
Well, when he's responsible enough to come in at midnight.
That's right.
And I remember when...
Well, listen, to share that story, but we got to get back to the strong-willed man.
Oh, that's right. Let me go back to that. Anyway, so moving from the child, moving up into a man, a lot of the issues come from the relationship. A lot of the issues come from the lack of a relationship, the lack of displayed love, displayed knowledge. A lot of it has not been displayed. So when the man is strong-willed, it's okay for him to be strong-willed if he's a positive and godly strong-willed man.
Wow, come on, y'all.
He has
come on,
to
studio audience. I know you got that. And you just watching by way of television.
Yes.
Did you hear that? Say that again.
He has to be, if he's going to be a strong-willed, he has to be a positive and a godly strong-willed man, because you can have them coming from all angles. There are so many strong-willed men, and where are most of them now? They're either dead or they're in prison because they decided that macho, egotistical attitude that they had was going to work, and they found out that it wasn't going to work, not in this society, that you cannot put your hands, when I say put your hands, you cannot violate or physically abuse anyone, whether it's a child or whether it's an adult.
That's right.
You don't have that authority. Because if the tables were turned, or if the tables were turned and they were coming at you after you did it to someone, you would be screaming and hollering, saying, "Don't hurt me, don't hurt me." Well, imagine the same impact that takes on someone else that you have hurt. So when we talk about the strong-willed man, we're not talking about the man who's saying, as my husband said when he initially got into a relationship, was that I'm going to do it this way. This is the way it's going to be. No one's going to tell me how to do it. And if you think you're going to tell me, now men don't roll their necks like women do, but so I have to keep my neck stiff. So if you think you're going to tell me how to handle it, I'm going to show you another way. This is what usually happens that starts breaking up relationships. If the woman's not accustomed to that type of violence and it comes up into the marriage, it wasn't that he changed. It was that he was just waiting for that opportunity moment to show you who he was. And usually when you're showing somebody who you are, if it's not conducive to the marriage, if it's not conducive to the word of God, if it's not conducive to what you promised her at that altar, you promised to love, respect, and obey.
That's right.
And you violate those three, she remembers that forever. You can come back and say, I'm sorry.
Did you hear that, guys? Did you hear that?
If you can come back and say you're sorry all you want, she'll accept your apology, but she will never forget the violation, because you violated the vows. You violated the covenant relationship, the covenant agreement that you made to her. You said, I will never hurt you. I will never dishonor you. I will respect you. I will love you and protect you. Protection is never abuse.
And that is so good. Come on, let's give the Lord a big hand. Wonderful.
The anger sets in and the disappointment because you set those expectations. What does it do to the woman? How does she feel knowing that you feel that way about her? And so now, even if there's no physical abuse, there's still the mental abuse. There's still the abuse there because now she's feeling less than, because you're making her feel less than, because the expectation of what you wanted out of her without you and her really together, synchronized in a relationship to the degree that you know each other well enough to know that I don't need to put an expectation on her.
That's good. And you know what? What's so great about what my wife is saying is never put expectations on others.
That's right.
Always put the expectation on yourself. Because when you put expectation on others, they can't live up to your expectations. They're going to disappoint you. The enemy's going to make sure that, or circumstances are going to make sure that you're disappointed. Always put the expectation on yourself, what you expect for your life.
And do you know that an expectation of another person is just an imagination of what you think they should be? It's not even real.
Right.
There's nothing real about that expectation because you have imagined in your mind what you thought you were getting into instead of living in a world of reality.
Right.
And understanding that this is just a mere human being who's going to have flaws, who's going to make mistakes, who's not going to have your breakfast warm for you every morning, who's going to forget the laundry, who's going to burn your steak, it may be the last one that was in the refrigerator. She's going to be so imperfect that if you could understand her imperfections, you could love her more with her imperfections than you could love her with your imaginated imperfections.
Wow,
or
that's good.
perfections
That's
on her.
wonderful. That is wonderful.
can.
Well, listen, I don't know how much time we have, but I want to say to you that are watching by way of television, we want to pray for you.
Yes.
We want to pray for your marriages, that strong-willed man. Want to pray also for that strong-willed woman, and want to pray for those children, your child, your children is growing up in the home, that they grow up and become godly men and women. They make good decisions. And we want to pray that you become a godly parent and raise your child in a godly home. And we just want God's very best for you.
Yes,
So, again, I want you to stretch your hands towards the television right now, if you would. And I want to pray right now. Honey, would you stretch your hands with us to both hands, if you would?